Have you seen this popping up on social media? It's called earthing, and the idea is that just walking barefoot can fix everything from a bad mood to heart disease. It sounds amazing, right? But is there any real science behind this wellness trend, or is it maybe just another fad? Well, let's dig in and find out together. You know, this whole investigation really kicked off because of a fantastic question from one of you, a viewer in Hong Kong. She was worried that her friend was being taken in by some pretty huge claims about earthing and asked if we could take a scientific look at it. And that's exactly what we're here to do. Follow the evidence wherever it leads.
Okay, so what is all the fuss about? If you look online, the people who promote earthing, sometimes called grounding, make it sound like it's a cure-all for pretty much every problem we have in modern life. Let's break down some of the biggest promises you'll see out there.
And the claims are, they're pretty incredible. We're talking about reducing your stress, getting rid of pain, making your heart stronger, and even fighting off viruses, all just by taking your shoes off. It really does sound like a miracle cure, doesn't it? And that should always make our ears perk up and get us just a little bit skeptical. So if the claims are that big, there has to be some proof, right? Any health advice worth its salt should have solid science to back it up. So we decided to put on our detective hats and follow the paper trail to actually check the sources that these wellness articles are citing. And what we found was, well, it was surprising. So here's the first major red flag we found. The article we analyzed pointed to a 2017 review paper as proof for all these amazing benefits. But when we actually pulled up that paper, we found a massive problem. It didn't include a single study on actual barefoot walking. It was basically the author's own theories and ideas, not a collection of scientific facts based on real experiments. All right, the next piece of evidence was an even bigger stretch. The article claimed barefoot walking could improve heart health by reducing what's called blood viscosity, basically making your blood less thick. And they cited a 2013 study. But get this, when you read the study, the people in the experiment weren't walking barefoot at all. No, they were sitting still in a chair, hooked up to a machine with wires and conductive patches on their hands and feet. That's a little different from a casual stroll in the park, wouldn't you say? And this really gets to the heart of the whole issue. These wellness articles are mixing up two totally different things. The earthing studies they mention often involve this idea of electrical grounding, using wires and patches. But they're taking those results and applying them to barefoot walking, which is just, walking with no shoes on. It's a classic bait and switch, using one set of data to make a claim about something completely different. So the evidence for this specific idea of earthing seems really shaky. But what about just plain old barefoot walking or running? Have scientists actually studied that? The answer is yes, they have. But what they've found is, let's say, a lot less sensational. Let's look at what the real science has to say. A big review in 2014 looked at barefoot running and basically concluded that there's just not enough high-quality evidence to make any strong recommendations one way or the other. Then another review in 2017 found very little proof of any long-term effects at all. Now, there was a small 2022 study that suggested barefoot running on grass might help with plantar fasciitis pain, but that's a very specific, limited benefit. It is a world away from the miracle cures we were being promised. So where does that leave us? What's the bottom line? Well, with any health trend, you have to do a simple cost-benefit analysis. You have to weigh the potential rewards against the potential risks. And in the case of earthing, it seems the rewards are unproven at best, while the risks are very, very real. It doesn't take a PhD to figure out the risks of walking around barefoot, right? You've got cuts from glass or sharp rocks, punctures from nails, not to mention all the bacteria and fungi you could pick up. And then there are things like falls or even getting frostbite or burning your feet on hot pavement. These aren't just hypotheticals. They happen to people all the time. Let me give you a really scary real-life example. There was a documented case of a man in Taiwan who liked to walk barefoot on grass. He ended up with a serious bacterial infection called milioidosis. She didn't even realize how sick he was until he'd been in pain for 2 months. And by that time, the infection had caused abscesses, pockets of pus in his stomach and spleen. It's a pretty sobering reminder of what can go wrong. But maybe the most powerful reality check comes from people who didn't have a choice. One woman, Wenli Yang, shared that she had to go barefoot as a child because of poverty. For her, it wasn't some cool wellness trend. And today, she deals with rheumatoid arthritis and chilblains. She said, "I cannot agree with the articles praising it. And that really puts this whole thing into perspective, doesn't it? So, what's the big lesson here? This investigation isn't really just about debunking one specific wellness trend. It's about something much more important. It's about learning how to think critically and how to become a smarter, more informed navigator of all the health information that's constantly being thrown at us. So let's build a simple 3-step toolkit you can use for any health claim. First, find the original source. Don't just trust a blog post's summary, go find the actual scientific paper. Step 2, read the method. Check how the experiment was actually done. Did they really test what the article says they tested? And finally, step 3, weigh the risks versus the benefits. Are you risking something real and concrete for a benefit that might be vague or totally unproven? This simple process can help you make much better decisions for yourself. Once you start looking at the world this way, once you start thinking like an investigator, you'll never see these wellness trends the same way again. You become empowered. So my question for you is this. Now that you have the tools, what's the next wellness trend out there that you think deserves a closer look?